So in this video, we're going to be looking at a system of linear equations that have no solutions. That's not possible to tell just from looking at the equations. They look perfectly all right. We have 4 equations in 4 variables, 4 unknowns. So there's really not any way to diagnose these equations except for just trying to solve them. So that's what we're going to do. Well, first we're going to transform this into a complete matrix and vector formulation so that we keep the x's out of the matrix here. So that gives us an equation looking like that, where we put the x's in a vector, and well, it's basically the same as up here, but it looks more simple. And from this we can create the augmented matrix, which looks like this. So this is the augmented matrix, and we just put this column vector in here. And what we would like to achieve is a matrix, an augmented matrix, which looks like this, with the ones in the diagonal, zeros everywhere else, and the solutions out here in the right column here. So we can read off that x1 equals a, x2 equals b, and so on. That's where we want to end. So let's set out by defining our matrix here. Let's assign a name to it. I'll just call it A, and I'll copy this augmented matrix down here. So that's our A matrix. And the first thing I think I want to do is I want to swap row 2 and row 1, and maybe then row 3 and row 2. So I'll swap row 1 and 2, and then I'll swap row 2 and 3. So that kind of gives me a head start with 1s here in the diagonal. And now I need to provide 0s here and here. So I will modify row 3 here by multiplying -2 to row 1 and then adding it. So that gives me a 0 here. And now for the 0 in row 4. So we'll multiply row 1 by -1 and add it to row 4. That's what this command does. So now we have all zeros here, and we have a 1 here, and now I want to remove this one. So I'll multiply row 2 by -1 and then add it to row 3, like that. And then I'll provide a 0 down here by multiplying this row by 2 and adding it to the 4th row. So now we have a 0 here. And now we'll continue with this -1 here to change that into a 0. And that would be by multiplying row 3 by -1/2 and then adding it to the 4th row. Like that. And there we have 0 here. And oops, there should be a 1 here, or at least some other non-zero number, because this equation down here has no solution. What it says is that 0 times x1 plus 0 times x2 plus 0 times x3 plus 0 times x4 should equal 1. And that's just not possible. No matter what number hides behind those unknowns, this equation has no solution. And that means this entire system of equation has no solutions. Now, there was actually one way to reveal this result before doing all these row operations, and that has to do with the rank of the coefficient matrix up here. That is this matrix here compared to the rank of the augmented matrix. That is this matrix. So if we define this matrix as matrix B, say, so let's just name it B. Oops. And then let's test the rank of B. Now that's 3, but what is the rank of the augmented matrix? That is matrix A. Now it has rank 4, so the augmented matrix has a rank that's higher than the coefficient matrix. And that's actually the reason why we don't have any solutions to this system. We'll get back to that in another video.